Stand clear of the closing doors, please.
What's up, friends? Welcome back to the TV Terminal. My name is Adam Vale, SecUnit 138, and I'm from the senior editor over at the Coalition.
My name is Lawrence, aka A Punk with Toys, on all those social medias that you all just love so much.
Oh, yeah, there's a whole lot of them. Oh, boy, this is a crazy episode. So, real quick housekeeping. Thanks again, everybody, for the likes, the subscribes, sticking with us. We have the other shows that we just finished. That was a great show. That's done.
I missed it already.
I miss it.
Like, I need it. I need another series like that. Like, that is what I want. Like,
we love those crime dramas, and people, we were talking about that before we started recording. Other shows that are similar to in that world with the crime and the mob. The only one that comes to mind though is Gangs of London. And I know there's a lot of people from the UK that have watched the show that follow this channel, which is great. Thank you. You guys probably already saw it, though. I'm pretty sure it aired already on BBC. It hasn't here in the States. AMC has the rights to that show. But hey, if anybody knows of any really good crime dramas that are coming out, go ahead, put it in a comment, share it. Even though people are like, what are you talking about? This is sci-fi. Yes, we're into sci-fi. Obviously, we are definitely into sci-fi. This is not maybe we cover something else. We did want to cover this, and there's other sci-fi shows coming as well. In fact, we were talking, man, if only Jeff Bezos could bring back The Expanse. He openly said it's not officially done until he doesn't want to fund it anymore. But man, that would have been awesome if we had more Expanse.
Yeah, there's a lot of shows, and we're going through the list of things that we want to look at. I'm all about anything Taylor Sheridan does right now, but he doesn't have anything coming out right now.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I think we missed it with 1923.
1923. Yeah,
like we should have done that one, and I think we were in the middle, right?
Once we decided to run this channel and do all this stuff, it was already like on episode 4 or so. Like it was like
so that right now, like for me, that's one I want to cover. Almost anything Taylor Sheridan does. Landman, I think, is absolutely amazing.
Mm-hmm.
It keeps you wanting more. We all know what Yellowstone is. He has many spinoffs. The spinoffs kind of scare me, even though I like what he's done, because we've seen what happened with The Walking Dead, right? That's what you covered.
Yeah.
You know what? These aren't that good. Like, some of them are decent, but you said some of them were absolutely awful. But
we just finished the Negan Dead City season 2. We finished that over on the Coalition. Not great, man. Not great. But the Daryl Dixon is a good one. But yeah, I agree. It's like when you stretch it too thin. Now, granted, the man is a master creator of content. I mean, the storytelling is fantastic. He pulls you in these worlds that he creates.
Who would have thought like Tulsa King would be?
Yeah, there you go. Like, Tulsa King.
You're watching it, and here you take a larger than life guy, Sylvester Stallone. He's part of the mob. Okay, fully believable. Spent time in prison, and they send him to Tulsa, Oklahoma, where he all of a sudden doesn't realize all this stuff can be done now, and he gets into the pot business, and then he creates his own gang and
everything, even though the whole process. I mean, we can go on a whole thing with that, and when that comes in, we'll get into that, because that is a lot. But you didn't see this. Now, people, since the stick back with the sci-fi, I know you haven't seen For All Mankind, right? But I'm sure a lot of the people that follow this show have. If you have, then you know, and that is coming back for another season. That is a fantastic show. If we do cover that, which I think we will, definitely going to hook you up. You're going to watch the other seasons. It's a lot, though. I think it's a little bit too much, but man, every season does a time jump, and that's what makes it interesting. So it's like it's more of a what if, but we'll talk about it later. But that's another fantastic one. Silo is another great one that's on Apple.
I heard that's really good.
Yeah,
Apple TV, so that's how.
I'm
only watching this because of the screeners.
Friends of the show,
Apple. There's too many services. We've talked about it before. I think we all have Prime. Everyone has Netflix. Everyone has Disney Plus. But for me, like the one that like not everyone has that you don't think about is Paramount Plus, and they just have amazing shows.
They have
And
a
it's
lot of shows.
$6, so
There
worth
we
it.
go. Yep. All right. So there we go. Thanks again for everybody again for the likes and the subs and in the comments. Did you see? We jump in the comments. We comment. That's good. Thank you. Let's get into this. This episode was wild. A lot, especially toward the end. It just got crazy. So
And a lot of what I'm saying seems to be coming true.
there you go. You are Notre Dame of this show. Here we go. Season 1, episode 6, Command Feed. Oh boy. All right, let's get into this. It instantly starts off back on Sanctuary Moon. This SecUnit, he just and it's funny because Mensah's talking to him. You can hear off in the background, and he doesn't care. They just had this horrible accident, right? The plane crash. They don't show too much of what happened. I mean, we all assume they survived the accident, which they did, but it's all mangled up. The ship is mangled up, the hopper, and we see there's a piece of metal in him, and but he's over here watching this scene where the captain and the android are on like this.
But we're at the point where we just like we see him or hear Sanctuary Moon going, and it doesn't even like dawn on us like, yep, he's watching it again, because we just know he's always watching this, which makes me ask, how many episodes of Sanctuary Moon are there?
Someone will put it in the comments.
Yep.
And if you do, that's fantastic. But I really do hope we get a spinoff, even if it's something short, maybe like a Christmas special. You know how some shows like to do 15 minutes. There we go. Just cut this. It's so funny, but it pulls you in because you want to know what's going on. As we see here in the image, the captain, he's like trying to just build a personal relationship with that android. And they sort of hinted that they did have relations. But then we also know they don't have the anatomy down there.
He says that.
Yeah,
And
he says it.
He starts going on about how like this he's watching this as an escape, but he's like, this is so unrealistic because a robot doesn't have genitalia, doesn't have dopamine, so there's no reason for them to fall in love, which is probably very logical. So just remember that when AI does start to take over, they don't feel or think.
They don't feel or think. No, they don't care.
I feel like I'm the only one that saw Terminator and realizes what
Terminator. What's Terminator? Is that a new show? I don't know. It must be on one of those other streaming services.
It's one of them.
It's one of them. Okay, there we go. But yeah, here we go. He's over here talking, and the captain and trying to build this relationship. It took her on this romantic trip. Beautiful scenery. Love the set design on it. This was great. But anyway, at the same time, you hear Mensah like SecUnit, and then he like snaps out. It's like, what? And then she's like, "Oh, you got something sticking out, a piece of the ship." He's like, "No, it's a piece of the printer." Bedoy, wait, you don't know this? But still, everything. The ship is all mangled up, and this is where it gets comical here because she was like, "All right." She's looking at the ship, and he says, "You know what?" The SecUnit says, "I think it's enough. We could probably get." It's full intact to the point that we can get out of here. It's not completely damaged. Meanwhile, it does look completely damaged, but whatever. So she says, "Okay, well, do you have a copy of the manual?" Well, yeah, I did. It's like, you did? Oh, what happened to that? Well, I had to delete it. I mean, long story short, he deleted it so he can fit the season 11 of Sanctuary Moon.
So he starts, but one of the things he kind of starts talking about, I believe it's during this part, is where I thought that, he was going to say, because she starts asking questions like, did you know this? I thought he was going to say it got erased when that was put in. That's why he can't say certain things.
He could have said that.
It's because he wanted to watch. He needed to erase stuff.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's season 11, he said. And we were like, how many seasons are there? But he had to make space. And I was like, oh, all right. Well,
I can see why that'd be aggravating if I'm Mensah, right? Like, I'm a little aggravated. Like, you erased the manual for a season.
And she says, "Are you purposely trying to sabotage this mission?" She's like, no. But he should say, "But I have other priorities, and this is not one of them." I'm sorry.
TV.
Yeah, I watched this. I mean, it's just so sorry. Devil's advocate here. I mean, he didn't know they were gonna need that manual. He didn't know they were gonna crash. That wasn't on the agenda.
Yes.
that was never the plan. And they were just going to go survey, do the whole thing. He had no idea. So, hey.
But he knows he was starting to figure things out, right? I mean, we're all on board with that. Like, he's starting to realize things are going on, especially considering he just got attacked by a sec unit who is way more advanced than him.
Yeah. They don't go into too much of that, but yeah, he definitely knows. No, in fact, they did because when the first time he had the encounter with the second unit, he quickly in his head narrates about it's a newer model. It has better moves than his model does when it comes to combat, but he is familiar with that combat style, which is how we got that cool fight sequence. And
I believe from, even though I think they probably explain it more better in the book, because he's hacked his system. He's thinking, even though he knows it's more advanced, right? It would be like one of us very smart has some fighting skills and we're just fighting some big dumb lunk who's just super strong, and it's like, if he gets a hold of us, but my job is to outsmart him, right? Like, that's what you would, and that's what he's doing, and that's how I kind of gather what he's doing, to the fact that he's hacked his own system, so he's able to think outside the box.
Oh, he's pulling a Neo, remember that whole thing?
Yes.
It's like just moving everything, like fighting Agent Smith like with one hand. And like, well, what are you doing? Like, it's like, you can't hit me, I got the glow. But yeah, so then it jumps to back onto the base for the crew, and we get B with LeeBeeBee. Very awkward, weird moment here, especially when you consider what happens later.
Yep.
I don't know how it fits or what's real and what's not when it comes to LeeBeeBee's actions here, because B is talking to her and telling her about her story, what happened, that she's still traumatized, the monster that attacked her and all that, and she takes her hand out and LeeBeeBee just looks at her and then grabs her hand and starts kissing the hand. It's like, what is happening here?
LeeBeeBee is something else. Very can we say she's horny? I mean,
she definitely is. But then again, the switch that she has, because on one hand, right, we're seeing one side of her that's very comical with some of her comments and questions that are a little bit off-putting, and it's like, not serious, right? We all pretty much thought she was playing dumb, and that was her thing, her shtick. But to go and do this kiss, and then when Garrethan, he's over there trying to make contact with the Hopper, they lost communication.
Yeah, he realizes the beacon is down and that it should be up.
Yeah, it should be up, and he was like, well, they have the sec unit, or what's it? The LeeBeeBee brought up the sec unit, but then for some reason she goes on this whole little thing about if he had a penis.
Yeah, like they could strap one on or create one, and I mean, she's very in depth. And this is the one part I found very I thought really good, because you have B that is kind of explaining, not LeeBeeBee, but B. I think, because we can't really figure out how to say her name.
Bar. They called her Bar too.
Bar. Yeah. So, where she's like, no, we don't do that, and on our planet, we don't get paid. But when she brings up the putting a unit on the sec unit, it looks to me like B kind of gets an idea. Bar's kind of like, well, yeah, I guess maybe.
Well, I mean, LeeBeeBee says it best. She was like, hey, where I'm from, if you buy it, you own it, so it's like, whatever. What does it matter what you do? What I mean? It's like, because she says he's cute. She likes him. And,
yes, the cute sect bot.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. That's she's but that's what I'm saying. Is like, we're seeing this side of her. And then when we get to what happens toward the end, we're like, wow, that was like a full 180, to the point that I wondered, like, oh man.
And it's weird because, like, Gareth here does not trust her at all.
Yeah, he's
we find out real shortly about that.
Well, he doesn't. He does not trust. All right, so we get back to the ship.
Yep.
I think that's the next one here. Oh, and once they get back over there, we see that they don't have the parts needed to put this thing together. right? But at the same time, SecUnit pulled out that piece of the printer, and he's just leaking. It's
It's
not
just-
blood. He's leaking everywhere, right? All this goo's coming out. And at this point, we can see that Misha's having a panic attack. And like, she
Yes.
keeps saying she's having a heart attack. I'm having a heart attack. And he's like, no, I can read your sensors. Not a heart attack. Yeah. But he doesn't say panic attack, but he knows.
And I was waiting for him to say, because he's watching her vitals and he says
Yeah.
it, but he never says she's having a panic attack. So you're left to interpret or assume that's what she's having. But I think anyone that's had a panic attack kind of understands what that
Oh, yeah.
what that is.
Definitely. And he explains it in what I would I call it, again, I'm going to bring it up. It's a TNG data moment of how to answer or address the issue, because he tells Mensah, have a seat on this bunk, sit down next to me. For what? And then he pulls up a screen and he puts up a specific episode of Sanctuary Moon.
Okay, wait, you kind of forgot when he brought up about how he deleted that manual for the Sanctuary Moon. She starts going off on how it's an awful show, like it's not even a good show, and he's like very defensive about it.
Oh yeah,
very defensive about it.
You can't attack the man with his shows. I mean, we all have that. We all have a show that some people be like, that is trash. How could you watch
and
that?
He defends it like somebody who really loves the show. But what's he does he and I think a lot of this has to do with not only what he's programmed to do, but he's understanding better because he's hacked the system and has her sit down and very smartly plays an episode from Sanctuary Moon, and it has a breathing technique. So here she is, basically destroys the show, but now she's watching it and it's calming her down.
Yeah. And it's working. I was like, oh, breathe in, breathe out. And then I think she puts two and two together and she sees. But this is his way of trying to address the situation and to help her. Yeah. And then I instantly was like, oh, this is something I could see Data doing, because I'm not human. I don't know how to handle this. And then he's like, let me pull this up, and there we go. But
I think that's a very good analogy by you. TNG, if you don't know, that's Star Trek The Next Generation. And I think most people know who Data was. He was the android. So yeah, I think that was a really good.
So crazy too, because I'm rewatching season 5 for some reason. Don't know why. I have all the season and I just randomly picked it. So I'm on one episode where they found this kid on this ship that was destroyed, and they thought there was no life forms, but they find a kid, and the kid doesn't know how to handle his feelings, and it's Data that found him. So then he gets attached to Data and he wants to be an android, so he starts moving like Data and talking like Data, and Council Troy is like, well, I think he's just trying to just handle or deal with it, and he sees how Data is just very robotic and doesn't have to face his fears and those type of things. So this is how he's suppressing all the things that he's dealing with by just acting like Data, and it's just sort of connects with all this. But
what I would love to do? I would love to just sit down and do some episodes of The Next Generation.
Oh no! People, what do you think of that? If we just cover a random episode of TNG,
I love the best of both worlds. I have feelings on that one.
Yeah,
which is probably their two best episodes.
That's some good episodes. I mean, good. Well, that's a whole other thing, because I was gonna go on this whole thing about all the new spin-offs that they've had, but what, that's a whole other thing. Yeah. But anyway, so while they're having all of this conversation here, it seems like she's calmed down a bit, and they're like, all right, we're gonna come up with something, and all of a sudden, and this is what I still have written here, but I'm pretty sure we jumped back to the other crew, but I didn't have that written down. But in long story short, what happens here is that while he's talking about, everything's going to be fine, isn't it? He collapses.
Yeah, because he starts leaking. So he starts sounding like he's drunk for the most part. But he mentions how he's leaking fluid and all this other stuff.
Yeah, because he was like, you're bleeding. He's like, no, it's not blood. It's not blood. And then he's like, and he just collapses.
And then this is where we jump back to their main camp and what's going on here. And we're starting to hear
LeeBeeBee talking about Deltfall and how she got linked with them, that they bought her, and that she still has
Yeah.
a few years to work for them, and doing that whole thing. It,
And this is
we're
going back to what I had said, like something's not right with her. Like she basically says, or the sec unit had said in the last episode, you would just let somebody in,
Mhm.
and this is exactly what they did. And Gareth, who does not trust her, has been totally just leading her on, giving her different things because she's saying this wasn't on her map. Basically explains the exact same thing that happened to them.
But we clearly know that she got this from B, because she starts saying, "Oh, we are also missing some spots on our map, and we went off into areas that were not on the map, and a creature tried to kill us and eat us and stuff. And then when we got back, there were sec units." It's like you were just told about that story from B, what
Yeah.
happened. So we see instantly what she's trying to do here, but why, I don't get, because she was like, "Oh, well, we'll get into it. Keep going with that." Boy, oh boy.
Yeah, but while this is happening, like all of a sudden, she kind of goes off camera, and next thing you know, she has a gun pointed at them.
Mhm, mhm. Yeah, she has a gun pointed at
And
them. And what was it? It was like, "What is that?" Gareth's like, "It's a gun." It's like it's like a comical moment, because like what I'm thinking is like, what is that? It's like I was thinking what, like more shock of like, what are you doing? But no, it's like maybe she's never seen a gun.
yeah,
So
so
I was like, what
but,
is that?
there's all kinds of, and we'll talk about some of that stuff in a second because then it skips back to this here where Mensah has hooked up the sec unit after he's kind of passed out, but she says, "I can't pick you up to get up, to get on the table." And he was leaking fluid, so she hooked him up to the
The
actual
lubrication from the
lubrication
hopper. Yeah.
from the hopper. Yeah, because she's like, I was assuming that it's the same lubricant. Now, which is kind of funny because anyone that's worked on cars or understands anything mechanical, all lubricants aren't the same.
No.
Now they can't even make radiator fluid the same for the cars.
I've seen those Jiffy Lube commercials. I get it. There's
Yeah.
everything is different.
So
Yeah, but
while
go ahead.
no, I'll let you go on.
So yeah, so she puts the tube in, she's doing that whole thing, and he's like, "You know what? This will work." It's like, "What are you talking about?" "I think I know how to fix the hopper now. We can use my internals tubing, but that's in my spine. So you're gonna have to go in the back there and pull some out. Not too much though, but just enough." She's not having it. She starts talking all this crazy talk about being vegetarian. It's like, you don't have to eat meat, you just have to take this piece out.
That was
know?
see, that to me, like that comical moment where she's like, "I'm a vegetarian." He says, "You don't have to eat me." That goes back to like Reacher, who would say something that
Mhm.
is funny, but we're like, is he trying to be funny or is he just like being very, you know, straight faced
He's
about it?
very straightforward, and I think it could be a little bit of both, because he
Yeah,
has been watching a lot of the dramas, and I'm sure they've cracked some jokes here and there. But it is funny. And at this point, I thought she was gonna have a panic attack, another one, and that he was going to
yeah.
have to project the episode again of the breathing, while she's doing this.
Yeah, he specifically says my hands can't reach back there, so you're gonna
Yeah.
have to do it. And basically she's gotta get the scalpel out and cut into his skin. Now, I have a very weak stomach, I can attest to that. And I think to me, like if I saw someone have their arm blown off, it wouldn't bother me as much as watching that perfectly
Mhm.
sliced incision. That I think is what bothers me, right? So something like this, I don't know if I could do, even if I knew it was not
I
a real human. And he says, "Hey, I turned off my my sensor, so I can't feel anything."
and I'm
And then
sure
after, okay, go
I'm
on.
just gonna say, I'm sure a lot of viewers out there are probably gonna turn away from this,
And
because yeah.
and they doubled down on it because after he
Yeah.
cuts through, then he says, "You have to go deeper than that."
Yeah, you didn't go deep enough. And they show the slow cut in. I mean,
Yeah.
there was a whole thing a long time ago that I read. It was about ER and some of the things that they can show and what they couldn't show. And a lot of people were like, oh, you didn't get too bloody and gore, with the medical. And it's like, we couldn't do that because some people are very squeamish. If
Yes.
we would have shown like blood everywhere and then like cutting open things, there are people that just turn it off. They can't handle that.
And for something like ER, you're not there to watch the operation. You're there for the story. The operation is the backdrop. This here, I think they're specifically trying to make you squeamish. They're trying to make the people that are squeamish scream. What was that?
Yeah.
Squirm.
Yeah.
Squirm, not scream.
Yeah, it was. Oh man, it got me to a point though. I was like, oh, how far they're gonna go with it? It didn't get too gory or anything, but still to see
No.
the cut and everything open, and then that she has to go in deeper. And at that point, you see her face, Mensah's face, and I'm like, this is when she panics, or I thought she was just gonna faint or something.
Because
But
there's not a lot of blood like you would see it
Mhm.
in real life if we were cutting into one of us. But then she has to get down to the spine, and
oh man,
he's like,
Yeah.
you have to break. Here's a wrench.
all right, they gotta get in deeper. But before we get into that, we cut back to LeeBeeBee, right? That she wants everybody to come downstairs.
Well, first we get this really. I'm sorry. I feel creeped out when I watch this.
It's a
brothel that's
family.
going on.
It's a family, Lawrence, and
But
that's
But it's not because, as he said at the beginning, the one getting the massage here, she wants to be with him. He wants to be with
Pin Lee.
Pin Lee. Pin Lee just wants to be with. So there's like this weird.
It's a weird dynamic,
Yeah. And
but it was funny though, because like he had walked in, he sees Arata getting the massage, Pin Lee, and then he didn't know. He's like, oh wait, I'll give you a massage while you're giving her a massage. And he's like, what? No, wait, what? Oh, okay. And then you see they're all doing this and
Now,
talking about.
I don't know if anyone caught on to this, and I don't know if this is how it's supposed to be, but he did what every single guy does. They somehow find their way into getting the massage and no longer giving it.
Yeah, that was the other thing. Yeah, it got switched around, and it was just giving. Yeah, he ended up getting a massage as well. It was very interesting.
Yeah.
But then at this point, that's when she was like, LeeBeeBee said, hey, you gotta come down. Like, we guess Mensah's back. Yay! They come down, and then no, it's just her pointing a gun. She's like, this is it.
Yes. And this is where. Oh wait, is this where?
Yeah, this is when we get back to SecUnit,
yeah.
and we see now the spine, and it was like, all right, now you have to cut in a piece of the cord, the tubing inside, and pull it out.
The narrow strand.
Yeah, the narrow strand. Yeah.
And he says, hopefully, it's not too short.
Oh man.
And again, you know, this reminded me of.
Mm.
This reminded me of Iron Man when she pulls it out in the first episode or the first movie. She pulls it out and she's like, "Oh, it's all gooey and it's."
Yeah, from his chest.
That's kind of what it reminded me of, other than Pepper Potts didn't have to cut into his chest.
Oh man, it's just it was too much. I felt like it was something else. It was definitely a gruesome part. But again, I was expecting something from her that she was going to pass out. Or it would have been cool if they just would have thrown that episode of Sanctuary Moon and that breathing through the whole time. It's just up against the wall, just projected, and she what she do was like breathing, and
that would have been really good considering he was conscious the whole time. It's not like they had to put him out or anything.
Mm-hmm. And he was handing her tools, and it's like, all right, you got to use this, and just start pulling out
wrench and a big pipe wrench. All right, like Now, so I think I've told you guys before. My ex, she's had 4 back surgeries, and I can kind of I'll give you a small little quick story like this. She's had 4 back surgeries. She's had thyroid surgery. She's had heart surgery. She's had appendix removed emergency. Like seriously, my ex is a walking book. Anyway, so when she had her thyroid out, she's like, I think they left gauze in there. Like, they didn't leave gauze in there, Susan. It's just swollen, right? So I want to say this was after her either third or fourth back surgery. Actually, it might have been the second one. I don't remember. It was one after one of them. It was not the first one. I can tell you that much. And she has this big scar in her back. There's her L4S1 lower back, and she's like, so it's all bunched up, right? Because this got a scar, and she goes, I think they left a staple in my back. I'm like, Susan, they didn't leave a staple in your back. She's like, come here and look. I'm like, I go over and look, and I'm like,
no.
She's like, right here. And I'm like, they didn't. I'm like, oh my God, there's a staple in your back.
You pull it out, and then you're like,
now, again, if you don't know, if you've never dealt with it, a staple in the back is like a staple gun. All right. Yeah. So I go get some needle nose pliers. I'm squirmish. All right. I will tell a story later on about our first back surgery. And now, mind you, there's fat around the back and everything, and it's bunched, and I have to kind of dig in and get it. And as you're pulling, and I mean, it's not like it's halfway sticking out; it's all the way in. And I don't know how I missed this, and I had to pull it out. And she's like, "I'm the one that's having it yanked out of me. Why is it why are you like that?"
So, were you having flashbacks when you saw this scene?
No, I didn't think about it just now.
You didn't think about it. Oh, that would have been the first thing. I mean, for those just listening and watching, I just showed my arm. I had an accident. I had a metal bar put in, and they put staples, and I did have a staple still in there, but they pulled it out. It wasn't like something like that.
No, this was at home, and this is like a week later. This is not like later on that day. This is like a week later.
Oh.
So if I wouldn't have removed it, it would have eventually started to like heal around her back, the skin and everything. But no, I didn't think about it till just now when he gives the wrench and he has to break into it. That I had to go get needle nose pliers, and you're scared because you don't want to pinch the skin. But again, it's a staple, and again, it's this big. I mean, it's huge. How they missed it, I don't know. I'm not a doctor, right? There's probably many reasons why I'm not a doctor, but I don't have the stomach for that type of stuff. And one day I'll tell the story about her first back surgery. But let's finish.
All right, yeah, there we go. That was a gruesome story by Lawrence over here. Oh man. But it's all relevant. It's all relevant.
It actually is, believe it or not, for one, because it's all about the back. And I had to use a wrench, which is a needle nose pliers.
So
it just wasn't a pipe wrench.
Yeah. And while we're on that topic, she cuts away. Mensah cuts a good chunk away, and he says, "Hey, I can use that." He walks over to the control board of the hopper. Not even a few minutes in, right? A few seconds, and everything lights up.
So that's where you start going, all right, there should have been, I mean, again, we want to push it. This was a long episode, 26 minutes.
Whoa.
But they just kind of like plug it in. And that goes back to, I remember Independence Day, and, my friend, when we saw it, and he goes, dude, you know how hard it is just to hack a regular computer? He just puts a flash drive in to give a virus to some foreign.
Oh yeah. How do you know they were going to absorb it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like it would not have been that easy, but then it would have ruined.
Movies. It's the movies. They do that. There's always.
We don't want to ruin Independence Day. They did. Mm-hmm. They did a fine job doing the second one.
Yeah, that was good. But they ruined that one. They should have just let it go. Just let it go.
Just let it go.
That's it.
Aliens attacked once. They said, you ain't coming back. We're done with you guys.
Oh, man. But there's something I do have a gripe. I do have a gripe with this episode for this one part here, because he fixes everything. And then we get a cut back with LeeBeeBee, right?
Yep.
She now has a gun pointed at the whole crew. She needs all the info. They started asking questions. It was like, how much is true? Is your name? Yeah, that is my name. Okay. Do you like babies? No, I hate babies. Because she had talked about how she wanted to have a baby and buy one with the credits or something like that. Remember the contract? You have to have a contract to have a baby. She needs all this info. They're not going to give it to her. She says she's going to kill them. It's like, what? No, and happy. And she shoots Gareth. And where did she shoot him? It looked like the
In the
stomach.
leg.
Oh, it's in the leg.
In the
Okay,
leg.
because he hunched over quick, and I was like, oh man. But she shoots him.
But she starts making him like do stuff and like give stuff away, and he gives in pretty quickly. But yeah, like I thought it was funny, like the way they were grilling her about stuff. But then she mentions about
get to it. Everything, the whole process. What
when
happened?
more sec units come.
Yep.
And I said from the beginning, right?
It's those other units. Yep.
Yeah, the opening credits is telling us something. We saw one black sect unit, but in the opening, there's a whole bunch.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what we're gonna see in the next. We got 3 episodes, 7, 8, and 9.
Yeah.
4 episodes left.
Yeah, because one thing she mentions is that she has another employer that she works for. It's not her; she's working for someone else. It's all about money, right? Because they were like, "What do you want? We'll help you." She's like, "You got millions of credits," because that's what this is all about. It's all about money, and that she set everything up for the beacon to explode. Because she was like, "Don't worry about Mensah and SecUnit; they're dead." All right, I set that up. That goes back what we were questioning, and she was asking about the timing. How long does it take to get there, and this and that, because she had it all planned out. That was going to blow, and it was just perfect timing. They showed up, boom, they're in the crossfire of that. So we get that answered. We get answered the money. We get answered that she felt she was never in danger. She was hiding out. She, just like what we suspected, she was not part of that crew, and this was all her doing. And she
was
wants
part of the
data.
setup.
Yep, she was all part of the setup, but she wants all the data, all the information. She wants the maps, all this stuff.
But we don't know why yet.
Don't know why. We don't get there. All we know is that her bosses are showing up, and like you have mentioned, with some other sec units. There's some more sec units coming.
Yeah.
Right, but then just at this moment, and this is my gripe. This is a gripe. I mean, it's TV, right? It's TV. You always got to put it past. Before they said they were further out, they were too far out. Remember the hopper, where the Deltfall is. But at this moment, the door opens up and it's SecUnit and Mensah. How did they get there so fast? That is my complaint, because unless there was some time in between that there was the longer questioning, it just, or maybe the timing isn't as what we saw it as. Like, let's say, you know what I mean? Like, it wasn't there. The way they spliced it together is that they were both happening in real time. But if we think about this, it wasn't that was in the past. Real time is what's going on with SecUnit and Mensah fixing everything and flying back.
And this may be one of those things where we're assuming that's in real time. That's why they're jumping back and forth. Where in actuality, maybe we should have seen them fixing the hopper first.
Yeah.
Then we know, okay, they fixed the hopper. They're on their way back. So I fully understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
And I think that could be explained probably a little bit better.
Because if they would have just, I guess and for the sake of the show, they wanted to cut and just, keep things interesting, tell both stories back and forth. I get it. But it's just funny that the scene prior to this is him saying, good times, we fixed the ship, let's go. And then poof, now they're here. So, but oh man, get to it. This was it.
So they walk in, they say something. LeeBeeBee jumps behind Gareth, right, and puts the gun to his head, and says, "I will shoot out." And it does, like, she doesn't say very much before
he blasts one in the head, and he just makes it into like a pineapple.
Now, I told you I knew someone died because when I grabbed the pictures, I saw this. Now I didn't know who it was, and I was actually thinking that it was. As we were watching it, I thought that it was going to be one of the girls. I thought that this happened well before this part, or this would have happened well before this.
Mhm.
I was wrong, but LeeBeeBee jumps behind, and he just boom,
He doesn't waste time. He's the
and
sec
we
unit.
see her head disintegrate,
Yeah, that's it. Party's over.
and we have them all flipping out,
Oh
right?
man, yeah. They're in
Uh,
shock. They can't believe it. They're like, "You killed her! You killed." I mean, but and then just the sec unit's in shock in himself because he's like, from all the videos he's watched from TV shows, people are usually cheering and hugging.
now,
They're happy that they've been
yes, I
saved.
think the writing is amazing. How you're looking through this sec unit, and he's doing one thing, but what he knows is what he sees in TV. And
Yeah,
like this is what I said to you before we started recording. Like if you or I were held hostage, and the police come in and they eliminate 4 people,
in
and
front.
we
Yeah,
see it right in front of us, and let's say it's very violent. We're not trained to deal with
mhm,
that trauma.
yeah,
So yeah, we may laugh that it's so bad. We may cry, we may throw up, and I think we get all of that here.
yeah. Pin Lee throws up. She throws up. She can't believe it, and especially
No, Pinley doesn't throw up.
it was
Uh,
Rada. I thought it
no,
was Pin Lee that said
it was the guy. He
Garrett
throws up. Pinley's
Rossi throws up.
laughing. Pinley's
Oh,
laughing.
oh man, I mixed that one up.
Yeah, Pinley's like hilariously like she can't stop laughing. And it was the
Oh,
guy. Well, what's the guy's name?
Rothy.
Rothy. He's the one that throws up. And then
Oh,
you have Mensah, who's like, she's like flipping out about it, right? Because she's like, "What are you doing?" And then the comment is made that we don't know what she was doing, and you can't really talk to her now because she doesn't have
yeah.
a head.
Yeah, Garrett was talking about that. He was like, "Yeah, we don't know, but we do know that people are coming." And second, he said, "Yeah, we have to go. We
Yeah.
can't stay here. We just have to just deal with it and move on." And Mensah seconds that. He's like, "Yeah, he's right. We have to just get out of here."
And
And oh,
and then we end up seeing them go outside, and they all kind of split off, and they're all feeling a different way, right?
man.
I think she feels. I think she had that connection, like, oh my god, like I made a connection with this woman, and we were sharing. I believe they're sharing the room together, and then she does this to me.
Yeah, it was definitely unexpected, but
And then
yeah, go ahead.
we got Sanctuary Moon at the end again.
Yeah, they go back to Sanctuary Moon. Yeah, and it was like a happy ending because that's where it comes back to the whole thing of the title of the episode. Command feed, and it's like, yeah, you can get your commands from the outside, but you can
Yeah,
get your commands from the inside, the feelings. And it's like, oh, is this gonna happen? And then he says a joke. She's like, ha, 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 ha. And it's like, like, oh, this is cue to laugh. I'm supposed to laugh at this.
yeah.
It's like, man, why is he bothering the captain? On Sanctuary Moon. Why even that?
He thinks killing LeeBeeBee is what they would want. In actuality, I'm sure they did want her dead, but they would have rather had some answers, right?
Yeah, but again, full circle. SecUnit, security unit. There was a person that he's there to protect in danger, and
Yeah.
that's it. Address, diffuse the situation as quick as possible.
And
RoboCop style. That's it.
this may be part of the reason why he's referred to as Murderbot.
Yeah. Well, he said they're gonna see me different. He knows
Yeah.
it. He's like, they're gonna see me different after this. They were trying to get me in as a group. At least some of them were, but it's not how it works. I'm sorry. He's not one of them.
And I thought this was a really good episode. There was a lot that
Oh yeah.
happened. It really progressed the story. There weren't really any slow spots. And I like that he's hacked the system. He's hacked his own system, and this is the reason why we're seeing why he acts the way that he does.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I
yeah.
think it's done really well.
Yeah, it's done well. It's progressing the story, as you said. We got the whole thing with LeeBeeBee. We would just introduce her in last episode, and now she's dead. But at least it was for nothing. I mean, we got information. We know that she's hired by a higher power. There's another group. That group has money and clearly there are more sec units coming. We don't know the reason why, but we do know they're coming. So there's going to be a conflict. There's going to be something going on. Where are they going to go? Is the question for the crew. Where do you go?
All right, we actually we left out a couple things.
Oh, what did we leave out?
When the sect unit kills LeeBeeBee, Garrus says, "You could have killed me," and he said, "I could have."
Oh, yes.
But then at the end of the episode, that's when he says in his head, explaining LeeBeeBee's he exploded LeeBeeBee's, or no, one of them says before you exploded LeeBeeBee's head. And then he says, yes, it felt in his mind. He says it felt good.
It felt good. And that's fine. Again, he's a sec unit. He did his job. He secured it. He saved them.
Yes. So I'm wondering where this is going to lead to, because I think this is very fascinating to me.
Yeah. I was hoping he was going to give out a one-liner at the end. It was like, why'd you do this? Like, well, I'm Murderbot. Like that would have, like, what do you mean why I did it? And then that way they could have the big confused look on their face, like, Murderbot, what? He is crazy. Our sec unit has gone nuts.
Yeah, this was a good episode for me, in my opinion, of a setup. Like, they're setting up that there are other sec units. There's multiple ones that are going to be coming for them. And we had an episode in Mobland, I don't remember which one it was, where it sets up the rest of the season. But it wasn't like oh my God, they're just doing this. Because we had that with Reacher, and we both went.
It took too long.
All right, like this whole episode was to set up a couple of things, and it didn't need to be. I thought this episode was actually really good. We got to see something that he hasn't done yet, which is explode someone's head.
Yep,
exactly. That was someone's words, not our words.
That's it.
But I'm definitely interested to see where the next 4 episodes are going to lead us.
Yeah, definitely. So again, people, thank you. This was our coverage for season 1, episode 6, Command Feed. Thanks again for watching and subscribing and following and commenting. Please continue to do all that. Keep sharing. That's another thing that we can see on our end. A lot of people sharing this, which is fantastic. Thank you. That is great.
Hit that like button and hit the subscribe, because it helps out more than you guys know.
Oh, yes. That it does. All right, everybody. So we will be back next week for episode 7. And let's see, what else?
What's episode 7 is? What's the name of it quickly? I got it right here. Love IMDb moves. Maybe I didn't hit the back button fast enough or properly. We have all the episodes. That is riveting.
Well, while you're doing that, also just want to mention here on the channel, Josh and I are back covering another horror show, and this is a horror noir show, very cool show called Revival, based off of the Image comic series of the same name. Really good show so far. Well, we watched some of the episodes. We're covering it. If you don't know anything about it, at least check out the first episode. It's on Sci-Fi on Thursday, which Thursday already passed from when this is aired, so you'll probably already see it.
That is true.
We're recording the day before, so yeah, you'll definitely see it there. And if you're like, oh, what is this? Give it a shot. Check it out. Like I mentioned, it's on Sci-Fi, and then a week later, it will be on Peacock. So if you don't have Sci-Fi, whether on YouTube TV, Hulu, basic cable, you'll be able to watch it on Peacock. But it's definitely worth your time. Just checking out. It's a different approach. People like zombie, yeah, but not so much what you think of a typical zombie show.
Unfortunately, there is not a show name on IMDb, so
it's all right. Yeah, I'm pretty sure because they're all through the Apple site, and I would have to log in and take a look and see like that, because they keep some of those things private.
Yeah.
Sort of like how HBO, when we were covering The Last of Us, the episode names didn't appear on IMDb or anything until after it aired. Why keep that secret? I don't know, but that's just a thing that some of these networks are doing.
That's what these companies do. So
that's it. All right, everybody. Thanks again, and we will see you next week, everybody. Peace.
All right, take care.